Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is one of the most beloved novels in English literature. First published in 1813, this timeless classic is not just a romance, but a sharp commentary on society, class, and personal growth. Set in the early 19th century, the novel revolves around the lives of the Bennet family, particularly the second eldest daughter, Elizabeth, and her complicated relationship with the wealthy but seemingly proud Mr. Darcy. At its heart, the novel examines the dynamics of love, pride, prejudice, and how first impressions can be misleading. Plot overview. The story begins with the arrival of Mr. Charles Bingley, a rich and charming gentleman who rents a large house near the Bennet family estate. Mrs. Bennet, eager to marry off her daughters, sees an opportunity for her eldest daughter, Jane, to attract his attention. Mr. Bingley falls in love with Jane quickly, but his friend, Mr. Darcy, who is wealthy, handsome, and initially reserved, seems to have a negative opinion of the local community, including the Bennet family. At the local ball, Darcy snubs Elizabeth Bennet, calling her tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me, which deeply offends her. This sets the tone for their early interactions. The development of prejudices. As the story progresses, Elizabeth and Darcy's interactions are marked by misunderstandings and judgments. Elizabeth believes Darcy is arrogant and dismissive of people from lower social classes, while Darcy views Elizabeth as an intelligent but inferior woman from a lower family. As a result, both characters form negative opinions of each other, which cloud their judgments. Elizabeth's prejudice is also fueled by the fact that she hears a negative account of Darcy's character from Mr. Wickham, a charming soldier who seems to have a history with Darcy. Character development and turning points. One of the most crucial moments in the story is when Mr. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth, but his proposal is unexpectedly rejected. Darcy in his proposal is direct and somewhat condescending, offering marriage despite her lower social standing. Elizabeth rejects him, accusing him of being responsible for separating Jane and Mr. Bingley and for mistreating Mr. Wickham. Darcy, shocked but respectful, leaves but vows to make things right. This rejection serves as a turning point for both characters. Darcy begins to reflect on his own pride, while Elizabeth considers her own prejudices. Darcy's letter. In the aftermath of his failed proposal, Mr. Darcy writes a letter to Elizabeth, explaining his actions and giving his side of the story. In this letter, Darcy reveals the truth about Mr. Wickham's character, his earlier financial misdeeds, and how he was trying to protect his sister Georgiana from Wickham's flirtations. Elizabeth is initially stunned and humiliated by her misjudgment of Darcy, and her feelings toward him begin to shift. She realizes that her prejudice, based on first impressions and the influence of others, led her to judge Darcy unfairly. The transformation. As the story continues, Elizabeth and Darcy encounter each other under new circumstances. Elizabeth learns more about Darcy's generosity and kindness, particularly through his actions toward her sister, Lydia, who has eloped with Wickham. Darcy goes to great lengths to ensure that Lydia's scandalous behavior does not ruin her family's reputation. This selfless act shows that Darcy's character is more complex than Elizabeth initially thought. Elizabeth, for her part, begins to acknowledge her own pride and prejudice. Her understanding of Darcy evolves from viewing him as an arrogant, self-important man to recognizing his true qualities, his integrity, loyalty, and capacity for love. Themes of love and marriage. A central theme of Pride and Prejudice is the relationship between love and marriage. The novel explores the societal pressures that govern the choices of women, and the way that wealth, status, and social standing often dictate who can marry whom. The Bennet family, particularly Mrs. Bennet, is preoccupied with securing advantageous marriages for her daughters. However, the novel ultimately shows that true happiness in marriage cannot be based solely on financial security or social rank. Through the relationship between Elizabeth and Darcy, Austen highlights the importance of mutual respect, understanding, and emotional connection in a successful marriage. Elizabeth's relationship with Darcy is based on personal growth and the ability to see beyond first impressions, while other relationships in the novel, such as the marriage between Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Collins, show the consequences of marrying for convenience rather than love. Supporting characters and social commentary. Austen also uses a variety of secondary characters to explore different attitudes toward marriage and class. Mr. Collins, a pompous clergyman, proposes to Elizabeth despite her clear disinterest. His marriage to Charlotte Lucas, a pragmatic friend of Elizabeth, highlights the societal pressures to marry for stability, even if it means sacrificing affection or compatibility. Meanwhile, characters like Jane Bennet, who embodies kindness and beauty, and Lydia Bennet, whose impulsive actions nearly ruin her family's reputation, further demonstrate the range of perspectives on marriage, love, and personal responsibility. Each character's choices reflect the novel's broader critique of societal expectations and the limits they place on individual freedom. Climactic conclusion. The novel culminates in a dramatic yet satisfying conclusion. Elizabeth and Darcy both experience significant personal growth and learn to let go of their pride and prejudices. In the end, Darcy proposes again, this time with humility and genuine affection. Elizabeth accepts, and their marriage is one built on mutual respect, understanding, and love. The story ends with the idea that true happiness in marriage is achieved not by status or wealth, but by compatibility, personal integrity, and the willingness to grow and change. Conclusion. Pride and Prejudice is much more than just a love story. Through its witty dialogue, complex characters, and sharp social commentary, the novel offers a timeless reflection on human nature, societal expectations, and the importance of personal growth. It teaches that love is not just about attraction or status, but about understanding, respect, and the ability to see beyond surface-level judgments.